You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network. Visit pencilandpaperproductions.podbean.com to find more great podcasts.
I'm Katrina, and I love anime.
I'm Stephen, and I'm aware of anime.
But what if that affection could rub off?
Perhaps that excitement in her eyes got me curious.
I could offer up some solid anime.
I could give them a watch, just to see what all the fuss is about.
And maybe, just maybe,
I could learn to love anime too.
Welcome to Inspired by a Weeaboo. Welcome back, my Weeaboo family. I am your host, Katrina, and with me is my husband, Stephen. We just finished episode 11 of Death Parade, and this one was a little different than, all the others so far.
Yeah.
So, what did you think?
Well, it's definitely setting the stage for the finale.
Mm-hmm.
And we needed to get a few things out of the way. They kind of recapped at the beginning kind of what we were already aware of with Oculus finding out about Decim. And then we kind of go back to Decim and Chi talking, I guess, about judging and life and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then we kind of see Nona back with Quinn, and she's kind of pieced something together, but they don't really specify what it is. Just kind of looks like a puzzle.
Well, it's Chi's memories.
Okay, but it looks like stained glass window.
Yeah. Which, I said something about that in one of the other episodes when you actually see the memories pieced together that they send to the arbiters. It's kind of like a mosaic.
Yeah.
And it's, it doesn't really make sense. You look at it and you're like, oh, it's kind of interesting and pretty, but the way that they see it is, of course, different than the way that we see it. So,
Yeah. So, I guess the way I want to kind of break this episode down is just instead of bouncing back and forth, kind of like what this did, I want to focus on each thing separately because I kind of have a problem.
Uh-oh.
So we'll get to it. So let's just focus on Decim and Chi for starters because it's mainly their episode, getting to know her.
Yes.
And we learn about Chi that she, I think it was hinted at numerous times throughout, the series thus far, is ice skating had something, there was some connection.
Yes.
With her and ice skating. Come to find out that she loved ice skating. It was like her life. So I'm assuming she competed.
Yes.
And just, it was just the thing she did. And that goes all the way back to Chavo, the little girl there. She was an ice skater. And then you saw her obsession with that and how it just kind of connected with her. And then it just prevailed throughout her life because of that book. And they do this beautiful scene where she's ice skating and it's just piano music's playing, she's ice skating, and then she's just remembering her life.
Yes.
From childhood to adulthood. And you're waiting for something, you're looking for any glimpses of any kind of dark moments because I thought, some kid's going to pick on her. Oh, she's going to bully somebody, anything, but nothing.
No, she's very
just such
happy and beautiful childhood.
and a great life, it seemed.
Yes.
And then the other shoe dropped.
Yep.
And you just heard thump. And then you see her knee blow out, which in the Quindecim looks like, the skin fell off of the mannequin. And then we see she busted her knee in her life, which pretty much ended her career as an ice skater.
Yes.
And that took a toll on her, because that was her life.
Yep.
This is everything she ever was. This is all she wanted to do. And she started reminiscing about that. And I kind of had a feeling I knew where this was headed at that point. Is that she was trying to get through, and everyone was just trying to help her get through her life and stuff like that. But that was it for her, and she admitted that she just felt hollow and empty and there was nothing left for her, so she committed suicide.
Yes. And
I think that was an interesting way to present it, because anytime we think of suicide, we try to... I think the one thing that people automatically do when it comes to suicide and then the afterlife is like, well, you're immediately damned. But what right would anyone have to condemn her life after everything, just because she could not help how she felt? That was her life, and everything she had taken away from her because of an accident.
Yes.
And it was something she just could not overcome. She felt like she had no more reasons to live. And granted, anyone could argue, sure you do. But if you're not in that position emotionally, you don't know how that person's feeling. I don't feel like I've ever been that desperate in my life, but I've hit low points.
Yeah.
Not that low, but I can see what that... I don't want to say I know exactly what it's like, because I don't. But I can understand it. Having low points and being, really, really down, to go that extra mile farther, I can understand it.
I mean, she did make a comment that, she had her family and her friends, but then after the accident, she realized that, her friends were all ice skaters like her. They all had that passion. And then after her accident and she couldn't ice skate no more, she said that they were strangers to her.
Yeah.
Not like they, pushed her away or anything like that, but that she just didn't, have that connection anymore. And she just felt like they were strangers, and she said that they weren't her. And she said that it's an obvious thing, but she never realized it until, she couldn't do what she loved anymore.
Yeah. So it's really heartbreaking to watch her story unfold, because I think a lot of people can relate to that in some way. Like, if you had everything that you ever loved in life taken away from you, where would you be emotionally? Yeah. You'd be devastated. You don't really know what you would do. And in her case, that was just the end of the line. It was like, there's nothing left for me.
Yeah. And
granted, there could have been, but in her mind's eye in that moment, there wasn't. So, but we after they kind of discuss it, Decim, tries to understand where she's coming from emotionally, because he sees her crying and is like, trying to understand the happy, sad aspect, because you can cry when you're happy. You can cry when you're sad.
Yes.
And I think he's confused by the look on her face at the moment she's crying, because she's smiling and crying, and then he's just trying to grasp it.
Yes.
And then he does tell her that, he was happy that he got to know her, and was just, it really made a difference to him. And they go back to the bar, and he made her a drink, which was the name of the episode, which I think I forgot to say in the last one. And the episode of this one is Memento Mori, which, if you're familiar with that phrase, I've heard it several times. And they even mentioned it here as to what it means, and I'll be damned if I don't.
I try to remember. It's basically like death will come or something like that.
Anyway, yeah. You've heard that phrase, I'm sure. Maybe you haven't. If you haven't, then there you go. Don't forget to die. Something like that.
Something like that.
Anyway, makes her a drink, and then something happens.
Yes.
And she just kind of goes down, and he apologizes. So I'm going to assume he's getting ready to judge her?
Possibly.
But they don't really go anywhere with it. Except at the end, you see him kind of holding her up on his little spider webs, and that's just kind of looking down on her.
And he did ask Quinn for the memories.
Yeah.
So
because he technically never saw the memories.
He never saw all of them.
But everything she was experiencing during
Yes.
the ice skating, that was all her.
Yes.
So
He never got the chance to see all of them or anything like that. So they took all of her memories. Quinn took all of her memories instead of just condensing them to like the basic ones that would help the arbiters judge. They took all of them and put them together. So
it's yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. I'm interested to see where that's going because that kind of left us on a bit of a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
On several notes, matter of fact, because the last scene, which is Stinger, was showing that,
Yeah.
about Decim asking for those memories, and then we see Oculus going to see Nona,
Yeah.
and then his little flower bud goatee is looking like it's getting ready to attack.
Yep.
So, getting ready to see where I'm very curious. I mean, they've waited all this time until the very last episode to really showcase. I mean, I guess sinister intent, and I really want to see where that's going to go with him. Like, what has he all been out of shape over?
Because we only got one episode left.
Yeah, but the other part of this episode, and this is where I've got my problems. Okay.
Yeah.
Because to me it felt odd. So we go back to Mayu, Harada, and Ginti, and if you recall, Ginti never judged them, or at least we never
judged
saw
Mayu.
Well, we never really saw him judge.
No,
Harada
we did not see
either.
him judge, but Mayu was the only one left in Ginti's, which I think his level is Venti or something like that, but was the only one left, and she's just kind of been hanging out and annoying him and all this kind of stuff. And in the episode before, we kind of got a glimpse of her seeing, what's his name, Harada? Yes, and that's kind of where this episode kind of picked up with them, which is kind of messed up.
Well, I mean, I'll explain where my problems lie with this.
Yeah.
But what happens is I feel like this was Ginti's bullshit way of trying to judge her.
It was.
Because he essentially tells her, Harada's into the void.
Yes.
And she's all like, well, how do we get him back? And he's like, oh, well, you're going to have to trade a soul to get him back.
Yeah.
Because, you have to just do that. This is his, clever way of wording it. He's like, you can't just bring it back. You got to trade. So a soul's got to go down, soul comes back. That's how it works. And
according to Ginti.
Because, I mean, you can hear how he's saying it. He's lying. It's bullshit. So Mayu's just like, well, what are we going to do? How are we going to do that? And she's like, I can go after him. And she's like, well, I mean, what other choices do we have? So he whips out a picture and he says, here you go. You send him down there and you can get him back, or you can go yourself. Take a pick. And he's essentially giving her this option to condemn another life to get back the life she wants, or the person she wants back in her life. So it's a dick move, because the moment she does it, she might as well just be damning herself because she's condemned somebody else.
Yeah.
But she doesn't really placate into that because she knows it's wrong. She realizes that she can't bring herself to condemn someone else just to save Harada. So,
well, from what we see at her standing at the bar, kind of,
she's torn.
Debating it. She is torn, but we never technically see the decision she makes.
Well, I feel like we do at the end.
Yeah.
Because
you get that sense, yes.
Yeah, she gets in the elevator and she's like, I'm going to go down there and we'll get his soul back. And Ginti puts him in the elevator. They're having this conversation, which is a fair conversation because
she never does technically say she's going to go down there. She just asks where they're going to go, and he says where Harada's soul is.
Yeah.
But within that last little bit, when she says a certain line, you get the idea that, it was that she did push the button.
And that was to send the guy?
Yes.
Okay, well, I didn't catch that apparently.
Yes.
Okay, so she condemned another person's soul.
Well, it's speculation because they never technically tell you.
Okay, so you can read between the lines.
Yes, because Ginti's, basically asking her, like, what is she living for and all this kind of stuff. And she pretty much tells him that she doesn't know. That, she loves Harada and all this, all this. And as they're in the elevator, the face at the top of it is the one for...
Well, don't just gloss over the rest of their conversation.
Well, okay, then tell the rest of their conversation.
Because, she does. She starts questioning him. She's just like, what's your purpose? What do you live for? Yeah. And he just, this is what I do. But I think she's really trying to drive home a point as to, what's your purpose?
Yeah.
You sit here and all you do is judge, but... Well, that's it. That's your life. You have nothing to live for other than to judge people. So I felt like she was really trying to tap into that. And then, like you said, they get in the elevator.
And it's got the face for the reincarnation at the top of it. And, Ginti, or she asks where they're going. And he says, to the place where Harada's soul is. Well, as the elevator doors are closing, she's kind of looking at her hand while supporting Harada because he's just pretty much a lifeless body. So that's where you kind of get the sense that she pushed the button. Mm-hmm. And then when the doors completely shut, the face atop the elevator changes to the devil, which is for the void, and the elevator starts dropping. And as they're dropping, she makes the comment that he lied to her.
Yeah.
So she was assuming that they were going to be reincarnated together when in fact Ginti sent her soul to the void.
Yeah. And you watch them both turn into husks.
Yes. Like their skin kind of starts flaking off and everything. And of course she starts crying and apologizing to Harada. And right before they completely vanish, Harada's eyes open. And then they turn into the mannequins, and the mannequins' hands are kind of laying on top of each other like they were holding hands. And then you see their souls kind of conjoin and then just fall into the void. Yeah. So, technically they're together.
But in the worst possible way.
Yes, because Ginti does explain when she... is asking about what the void is or what that entails. It's pretty much like how hell is portrayed. Not so much like the burning, but he said it's like endless falling, and all you are stuck with is basically your consciousness, but it's every bad thing. So like all of your deepest, darkest things are constantly there and you can't escape it. So it's basically you're being tortured for all of eternity in a different way other than, burning in hellfire.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a sad way to see her go because she was not a bad person, technically.
No.
She was not a bad person. She basically got bamboozled in a way, because there is no way to get a soul back from the void. So Ginti did flat out freaking lie to her.
Well, here's my issue.
Yes.
As I said, I had an issue.
Yes.
I felt at that moment that their story was completely and utterly meaningless to this entire series.
Really?
Yeah. Because I don't feel like that they contributed anything. If there was some point to that story in that moment, I would have felt like, okay, well, this is why they stretched them out. I felt like that was just a long, drawn-out process just to watch them both go into the void, and you could have done that several episodes ago. It was just kind of like, why are we dragging this shit out at this point? I mean, now, just looking at it, I really feel like if you were going to keep these characters around as long as they did, which was essentially 5 more episodes. Granted, we didn't see them every episode, but they were still there.
It was just her.
Then why not give their narrative a purpose? Like, if I felt like she got to Ginti in some way, just really drove that home about who he was, then maybe in that moment when she's sitting there panicking, and maybe I'll see it in the next episode. I don't know. But right now, in this very moment, I felt like their entire narrative was pointless. Other than just filling time in episodes. So maybe I'll change my mind in the next episode. But right now, they feel absolutely they were nothing but filler.
Well, they were in a very fun episode.
Yeah, they were, again, the definition of the filler.
Yeah.
Because all they were that happy-go-lucky, goofy, the one that we said they were the anime characters.
She was the happy-go-lucky one.
Yeah, but they were the classic anime characters, and then all they did was just fill time and fill space in episodes.
That's true.
So again, maybe I'll change my mind next episode, but I doubt it.
We'll have to watch the last episode. The bittersweet moment to it all.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So that was your takeaway from episode 11.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can live with that.
Okay.
Well, all of my Weeaboo family, like, comment, subscribe, hit us up, everything. Let us know how you feel about it. You can find us on the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network. We're on Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play. You can even find us on youtube.com/Pencil and Paper Production, wherever you find your podcast. Look at that. I did it.
Hooray!
But like always, we love you from the bottom of our hearts. Stay weeby. We will see you next time.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.